Different people. Okay, we are here. It is Women's History Month, and we're going to make some history tonight. Listen, last night we had a great time. Last night we talked about being a woman of faith who takes risk, being a woman willing to take risk. And listen, tonight we're actually going to have a bit of a part two on that one because I feel like it's important, and I wanted to give you a little bit more insight into this story. And in addition to that, I wanted to just, like, as I was doing my hair, I was like, oh my goodness, I got the set it off braids going. And while I'm not advocating set it off, what I do recognize is that those women were willing to take risk. And what I'm advocating is being a woman of faith who is willing to take risk. And some of the similarities I'm seeing is like when you're willing to take a risk, you don't care who got what to say. You have to move forward, not hearing the noise of the crowd. You have to move forward, not concerned for other people's opinions, what people are going to think about you. You just have to keep the goal in mind and go forward. So I'm telling you right now, tonight we're going to dive into part two of being willing, being a woman willing to take risk. And if you're here, I want you to type in the chat, I'm here. I'm a woman willing to take risk. And so tonight, the biggest thing that I want to encourage you is that when you are a woman taking risks, don't be concerned with what the crowd is saying. Don't be concerned with the opinions of others. Don't be concerned with if you started out with 4 people and then now you're down to 2 people and then it's you, right? You have to have your goal in mind, and you have to move forward with the outcome so that you can realize the result of your faith. And that's what we learned from this woman in Mark chapter 5. And we're going to dive back into her story. And I'm actually going to start a few verses earlier where actually Jesus was on his way to help somebody else. And this woman was like, I'm interrupting because this is my shot. This is my opportunity, and I'm taking it. So we're going to see here that she was willing to take risk, even though Jesus was on his way to help somebody else. She didn't concern herself with overthinking. I can be so guilty of that. And she didn't say, oh man, he's on his way to do something else. I shouldn't interrupt him. She was not modest. Sis was like, I'm going to get what I need, and this is my opportunity right now. So let's dive into Mark chapter 5 and see what's going on and how the whole thing started. Okay, Mark chapter 5, and I'm reading from King James. Okay. All right. And when Jesus was passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet and besought him greatly, saying, my little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come, lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she will live. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. Okay, that's the setup of the story. Now, if you weren't here last night, I want to encourage you to go back and watch Women's History Month, Being a Woman of Faith, number 1. You will see a little bit more, but I'm going to kind of go over it here so you can hear too, right? So this setup is, this is a very important situation going on. Here's a leader of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and he comes to Jesus and he's like, Jesus, my little daughter, she's my little daughter, have mercy, right? He's basically pleading. He's saying, she's at home at the point of death, but please come and lay your hands on her and she will live. So this is a life or death situation Jesus is on his way to address. Jesus is on his way to enact the law of the spirit of life in Christ Jesus. He's on his way to execute it, right, to this little girl. So you could see that Jesus is on his way to do something very important work, right? Saving somebody's life. Meanwhile, this woman is in the crowd. This is what we say in verse 24. It says, and Jesus went with him, and much people followed and thronged him. This is like mobbing him. They're on him. They're pressing up against him. And it's a lot of them. And here comes this woman willing to take a risk, not worried about who else is in the crowd. She's like, this is my opportunity. I'm pressing in. I'm taking what's mine. And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse, when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be made whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body she was healed of that plague. So the nugget that we're pulling out of this scripture is, when you're taking risks, you cannot worry about all the other variables, right? Even though Jesus was on his way onto an important mission of saving the life of a little girl, this woman heard about Jesus. She heard about his power. She heard about how effective his power was. She heard about how he had just, because right before this, Jesus had just freed a demon-possessed man who was loaded down with all these demons that he was literally living in the graveyard. So this man was now clothed in his right mind, and now Jesus is on the other side of on the other side of the river in this other city. And this woman, she's like, man, I heard Jesus is doing amazing things. He's freeing people. He's healing people. Listen, if I could just touch his clothes, that's all I need. I don't even need to have no meeting with him. I don't need to have a one-on-one. I just need to touch his clothes and I'm going to get what I need. So she set her goal, and then she was like, I'm going to take the risk and do what I need to do to achieve the goal, right? So her goal was let me just touch the little fringe of his garment. I love it. Woo, come on. I got so excited, I forgot my lights was on the timer. Anyways, this woman, she said, let me just touch the fringe of his garment. That was her goal. Like, if I can just touch the fringe of his garment, then guess what? I'm going to be made whole. So she set that goal, and then she took the risk to make sure that she could achieve that goal. So even though it was a massive crowd, they were thronging him. Other people heard of his power, and they were trying to get to him. But her thing was like, look, I don't even need to talk to the man. If I could just touch his clothes, right? And she wasn't worried about what other people would say. She knew that she was taking, like I said last night, she was taking a multi-layered risk, right? She knew that she shouldn't be in public bleeding. She knew that was against the law of her time, but she knew that she wanted to stop bleeding, and she wanted to stop having that challenge in her body, that ailment, that sickness. So she decided, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to press in, and I'm going to do what it takes to touch the one who is able to heal me. And so she wasn't worried about, what if I get caught? What if somebody who knows my issue points me out and say, hey, you shouldn't be out here? What if I get reprimanded? What if I don't make it? She did not allow any of those hindrances or any kind of variables to impact her execution. She moved forward with faith, the faith that she had. She touched Jesus' garment, and sis got healed. She got healed. The word says, for she said, if I may but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her plague. Now, on top of the fact that she wasn't trying to have a meeting with Jesus, she just wanted to touch his clothes, get what she needed, and disappear. But here's what ended up happening. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press, meaning in all this tons of people who's pressing up against him. Jesus turned him about in the press and said, who touched my clothes? I love Jesus. He's a real one. Jesus is like, somebody touch me and I need to know who it is. Who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him. So she wasn't hiding because she knew something had happened. She knew there was a change in her body. She knew that she got what she wanted. If you're just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking tonight about being a woman who takes risk, and we're going through part 2. If you missed it last night, you can go and look for the video from last night for part 1. Being a woman who takes risk. But tonight, let's dive into this and finish up where it says, what actually happened was she was just going to touch Jesus, the hem of Jesus' garment, get the result that she needed, and then peace out, right? She was like, I don't even need to be seen. But then not only did she get healed by touching the hem of Jesus' garment, not only did she get the result of what she was going for, sis got a personal meeting with Jesus Christ himself. Okay, that makes me excited. If that makes you excited, drop a comment and say, I'm a woman who takes risk, or I plan on being a woman who takes risk, and I'm going to follow sister's example here. This is Mark 5. Again, we're in Mark 5. Here's verse 34. Here's what ended up happening. She got a personal meeting with Jesus Christ, and Jesus said to her, daughter, listen to the compassion in his voice, daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Thy faith had made thee whole. In other words, you are willing to take this risk. You are willing to push beyond who thought what of you. You are willing to push beyond even your own maybe insecurities, or even the strength that she had to muster up, because it tells us that she was sick, right? So it's not like she was this big, strong woman at the time. She was in a place of she needed health. So she actually had to gather her strength to do this. It wasn't something that she was just like super strong and she could press through the crowd like everybody else. She literally had to gather her strength, decide in her mind, in her heart, and in her body that I'm going to go push forward and receive this healing. So we're talking about taking a multi-layered risk. And as a woman who takes risks, being a woman of faith who takes risks, we have this guarantee that, you know what, it's going to work out. And she made the bar pretty low for her expectations. She said, if I could just touch his clothes, that's all I need to do, and then I'm going to be healed. She got what she came for. And then on top of that, she got a meeting with the Lord himself. And he says to her, daughter, thy faith had made thee whole. Your risk was not for nothing. Your faith has made you whole. Go in peace and be whole of your plague. Be whole. Have total shalom for your whole life. This is so encouraging. If you're encouraged, go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know that you're encouraged. Again, this is Mark 5. We read, I believe, from verse 21 through verse 34. From verse 21 to verse 34. And so I just want to encourage you, be a woman who's willing to take risks. Don't be concerned with what other people might be saying, what other people might be thinking of you. Don't even be concerned with your own insecurities or with your own shortcomings. Don't be concerned with the little strength that you might have, or the little resources, whatever the scenario is for you. Choose to be a woman who takes risk, right? And even if it has to be a multi-layered risk, like the woman here in Mark 5, do it, because you know if you're risking on Jesus, you know it's going to work out. And not only did it work out, she got a bonus. She got a bonus by having a meeting with the Lord himself. And he spoke to her with such tenderness and compassion and encouraged her that she's now whole. She doesn't have to worry about living a patched up life. Yeah, now she's whole of her plague and all the results that it was causing in her life, right? Because we learned that not only did she have this plague and she was sick, but she had spent all her money going to doctors. We learned that she was an outcast in society. She couldn't even have a social life, right? So, this Jesus saying to her, "Go in peace. You have been whole. Your faith has made you whole." I'm telling you, I don't know about you, but I'm being encouraged by this woman's life. And I am going to take this kind of faith. I'm committed to taking this kind of faith, gathering my strength, and taking risks. So I just want to encourage you to do the same. Do the same. Take some risks this month. Make some history. Be a woman making some history during Women's History Month. All right. Until next time, be encouraged, believe God, and I'll see you again soon.